This year, I have been trying out one of the UK's easiest side hustles and so far have generated £1,820 for basically under an hour's work by switching my bank accounts and taking the bonuses. This method is so easy these days, but there are some nuances, so today I'm going to show you everything that you need to know to get started and do this yourself. So as I said, so far I've made £1,820 and I'm just going to show you the history of what's happened so far. I started this at the end of March last year with Santander. And the thing about the bank bonuses now is that the process has got 10 times easier and the amount of money has actually gone up. Typically at the moment, you can expect to get somewhere between £170 and £200 per person. So that's quite a lot already, but if you're in a couple, then you can do it together. And that's one of the reasons why I've ended up making so much with only 5 switches, is that I can do it for both myself and my wife at the same time, basically double the bonus. So this is extra good for couples. As you can see, we started with Santander for £185. We then moved to Nationwide for £200. Across to Barclays for £175, First Direct for £175 again, and then finally Lloyds for another £175. And so all those numbers were doubled up. And so between the two of us, we've made £910 each, which is not that bad. I would also like to mention that because we keep Nationwide accounts as well, which I think you probably should do because they often give out money, we've ended up taking the free £50 each of us too from those accounts as well. So that's an extra £100 that I haven't included in this because it's not really a switch. So before I show you exactly how to do this, let's go through 2 of the common concerns or worries that people have when I talk to them about it. The first one being, what is the catch? Why would the banks just give you this free money? And really, there isn't much of a catch to it. It's just the fact that once people switch, often banking current accounts are very, very sticky business. People can't be bothered to do it, and they don't understand that the process is so straightforward. And so once they've switched once, they typically tend to stay with the same bank. There's ways around this, which I'll show you in a second, but that's the reason why banks are offering this amount of money out, and you're really not going to get caught out if you do it in the right way. The second part to this then is, well, isn't that going to be a right pain? There's a reason why this business is sticky, and if I take my current account and I switch it over to another bank account, I'm going to have to tell every single person that I bank with what my new details are, my friends and my family. Why would I want to do that 5 times? Surely that's going to be a real hassle for everybody involved. And this is where the first trick comes in. You don't need to use your actual primary bank account to do these switches. This is a complete game changer and makes it incredibly easy. So a lot of people just have one bank account. They have their current account with the bank that they've banked with for 10, 20 years, something like that. But the thing that most people don't realize is that you can just easily open up another current account. There's no problem with doing that. You can have 2. Most people don't do it because of just logistical reasons. It's easier to keep everything in one place. But what this means is that you can set up basically a burner current account with a bank that's currently not offering a switch incentive, but is part of the scheme that makes it easier to move from one bank to another, which you then use as your starting account to move around. This leaves your main bank account where all your friends and family are paying you untouched, and you can move around this second bank account that's got things like bills in it for companies that get automatically swapped when you move. Now, before you go and open up any old bank account, you need to make sure that the bank account that you open up first and foremost is part of the CASS, which is a current account switching service guarantee. And this means that if it's part of this scheme, that when you want to transfer to another bank, they have to do all of the work for you. And this is what makes it so straightforward. The switching service means that the banks have to deal with all of the administration, and you can just tell them to do it and then sit back and watch as it goes through. Most of the banks are part of this scheme now, especially the big ones, but there are a few that aren't. You can go on the current account switch service website and go and look through the list just to make sure, but most of the big players will be. And obviously anybody who's actually got a switching bonus scheme will be part of this because that's part and parcel of why they're doing this in the first place, because it's easy to switch to them. So as your starting account, you can kind of use any of these that are part of the switching service. It doesn't really matter. You can normally even open a second current account with your existing provider and use that to switch if you want to. So now that we've opened ourselves up an account that we can then move around, we then need to go and check for some bank bonus switches. And the easiest place that I've found to do this is just looking on Money Saving Expert. Martin Lewis, he's a trusted guy within UK finance. His website is one of the best sources for many of these things, and he keeps a very up-to-date list of all the banks that are giving out bonuses at the time. This list changes as time goes on, so you've got to keep up to date and go progressively check back. But when they appear, they're normally up there for a week or 2. Some of them are shorter than others, and others just continuously periodically appear throughout the year. So don't worry too much if you miss the first one. It's probably going to come back again within a year's time. Now, when you're looking through these accounts, you do want to check the conditions, because banks will put conditions on the account that's being switched into to add a few hurdles and speed bumps, just to mean that you can't open any old blank account and then switch it and just get the money for free. And there's pretty much 3 types that I've seen through my process so far. One of them is number of direct debits. Usually banks will require 2 if they require a direct debit limit. And that is slightly awkward, because lots of things that you think these days are direct debits actually aren't. So stuff like Netflix isn't, for example, or Amazon Prime is also not a direct debit. These are different kinds of payments that are automated and regular, but they don't count as actual direct debits, which is where people get a little bit stuck here, because they think, well, maybe I don't have enough direct debits after all. Some of the ones that do count are things like energy bills, mobile phone bills, stuff like that, but sometimes people don't want to use those as part of the switching accounts, simply because, especially for energy bills, the amount of money can be quite large, and it means that you have to do quite a lot of management of pushing money around between different accounts while you're transferring them, which can be a little awkward. I put the TV license on mine because that's only about £13 a month, so that's quite easy to keep a handle on. And yes, if you've got mobile phone contracts and stuff like that, then you can put those in there too. You can donate to charity, £1 a month, something like that. But by far the best way that I've found is using some of the automated saving services. There are 2 in particular, one called Plum and the other one called Moneybox. And these allow you to set up an actual real direct debit. And the beauty of these is that when you put the money in, it's going into a savings account that's actually yours. So eventually in the future, you could just take the money back out again. Plum, for example, is the one that I have set up to my account. You can set it up so that it's only £1 a week that you send through. And as I said, that builds up in an account. And I think I've got 50 something pounds in there now. So eventually I'll just withdraw that, put it back in my main account. Moneybox is very similar. And occasionally you get a bank that requires 3 direct debits, like the recent Lloyds one that I just did. And so you may end up running out. There are other services that you can get. One of them is called £1 DD, and you basically just pay them £1 every month for a direct debit. It's pretty much for the purposes of doing these bank switches and making sure that you have enough without them being large amounts of money. So the second constraint, which is on some accounts and not others, is a monthly inflow. And so they can't tell you to put your income from your job into this account, but what they can do is say you must pay in per month at least £1,000, £1,500, £2,000, something like this. And because the constraint is worded in this particular way, it's quite a loose and relaxed constraint. So what you can do is, rather than it being a paycheck, it's not stipulated that it has to be your paycheck, but that's kind of the idea. What you can do is you can take £1,500 from another account, you can put it into that account, and you can take it straight back out again. All that matters is the netted in. It doesn't matter whether you put it in and then take it back out again, and every month you can just go and do that. Normally you only need to do it once, because once you've done it for 1 month, then they'll give you the bonus, but sometimes you might need to do it for subsequent months, otherwise there's an account fee or something like that, but it's usually not that much, £2 to £5 at the very most. So, but just bear in mind, this is one of the things that you could potentially be asked to do by the bank in order to make it work. The final one that I've seen is card transactions. This one is slightly more annoying. You might need to do 10 card transactions each month, and there's some bonus payments that are segregated across separate months. You might get a first bit of 150, and then over 6 months you'll get £10 or something. You need at least 6 transactions, 10 transactions, something like that on the debit card that they give you before they'll release that money. And I've tried to avoid the ones that are over 6-month periods, stuff like this. Just doing 10 debit card transactions in one particular month and then getting the bonus, that's fine. But just getting £10 for doing it afterwards, I'm not really as interested. That one's probably the most annoying, because you have to actually go out and spend money on your debit card and fund the account properly. So that one is probably the most successful from the bank's perspective of trying to deter people who aren't doing this for real reasons. So those are broadly the constraints that you'll need to fit into if you're actually going to get one of these new accounts. Now, once you've found a new account that you want and you've read through the conditions, you understand what you need to do, what you have to do at this point is basically apply for a new current account. And during the process, it will say at some stage, do you want to switch in another account? And you press yes, and then you'll fill out the details of the account that you've already made. The one that we were talking about before, that we just opened up a new account for the purposes of switching. And we've got the direct debits going into that. With this account, you will probably be asked for the account number and the sort code, certainly, and then maybe the debit card. The debit card number, last 5 digits or something that's on the actual card itself. Sometimes you're asked for that too. So it is important to make sure that you keep that debit card, even if you're not actually spending money on it day to day. make sure you keep it safe. And this does require a little bit of organization. So keep it in a file, make sure you don't lose it. That's one of the more annoying things that happened to me, and I lost one of the debit cards and it took me a bit of time to sort it out. So just make sure you keep it all in the same place because it's going to save you a bit of a headache. They'll also ask you all the regular stuff about your personal details, your name, your birthday, where you've lived. If you haven't lived there for that long, they'll ask you for your previous address, all of that kind of stuff. And they'll usually ask you as well about your employment, how much money you make just broadly, and your expenses, that kind of thing. They will usually also ask you whether this is your primary account for everything or whether it's for something else. You can just be honest and say, look, it's a secondary account. I'm just going to use it for, certain bits of spending or spending money, whatever it might be. It's a bills account or something, which mine is for the TV license, for example. And so you can just be honest about that. They're not going to not let you open the account because you haven't said that it's your primary account. Don't lie on this stuff, obviously. Just fill it in legitimately. And on occasion, yeah, they might actually deny your account. I mean, I had that happen right at the beginning where I did get denied originally, but since then, I've not been denied since in the last 5 or 6 or something. It was only right at the start. And I think that was to do with timing, but we'll talk about that in a minute. So I have read online about people speeding up the process and making sure that they can take advantage of all the deals by having 3 different current accounts all set up in this way so that you can switch to one and switch to another and switch to another all simultaneously, because they do take a while. They do take about a week to 2 weeks to set up with the new provider. The only thing that concerns me a little bit about this is that in the background, one of the things that worries people is the credit searches situation, where when you're opening new accounts, banks will look at your credit file, they'll see whether you've got loans outstanding, whether you've got missed payments, that kind of thing. And if you are in one of those situations where you have lower credit, then that is the rationale as to sometimes why you might get denied for switching to one of these accounts. If you've got outstanding payments or defaults on loans and things like that, then they might not want to allow you to open a new account. They don't have to let you open a new account. And the thing that people worry about with making lots of accounts very quickly is that it looks very strange. Different banks use different types of searches. There's a soft credit check and a hard credit check. Most banks use a soft credit check, so they just look at your file, but the actual search itself doesn't go on the file. But some banks do use a hard credit check, and then other financial institutions can see that somebody looked at your file. They can't see what it was for, but if you suddenly have a period of time in a very short space of time where you've got lots of credit checks, it makes people worry that you're suddenly trying to source loads of emergency funding. So if you open 3 accounts simultaneously and you get 3 hard credit checks on your file, it just looks a little bit suspicious and you might get denied for it. I think it's better to wait probably a month between each one, something like that. And the only extra piece of advice is that if you do have any loans due, example, mortgage refixing is the perfect one, then probably hold off on doing this stuff in the sort of 6 months leading up to that, just to make sure that your file is nice and clear. You can still see hard credit checks up to 24 months afterwards, but most banks after 12 months don't really care at all. And I think if you're doing this in a sensible way, then it's not going to affect you. I went to go and check my credit score with Experian the other day, just out of interest. As I said, I've done 5 of these switches and I have the absolute top credit rating, but I haven't missed any payments on my mortgage or anything like that. So that stuff is more impactful than how many current accounts you've opened up. The other thing that they might ask you for is an overdraft, and you can choose yes or no. I originally thought that asking for an overdraft might make it more likely for them to open an account for you because there's more scope for them to actually make some money from you. But apparently this actually isn't the case, and it also means that they have to do a more scrutinous credit check on you. Hasn't seemed to affect my account at all. Usually I like to get one just in case it goes negative by accident and I've got somewhere for that to go rather than the payment just being dinged. But it's up to you. You don't have to open one if you don't want to use it, and you're going to keep an eye on it. You can make sure that it never goes below 0. So one other important thing about the organization around doing these bank switches is making sure that you keep a track of what you've done. A lot of these switches have other stipulations in there, such as you can't have received any cash for bonuses from these particular groups of banks for 3 years, for example. Certain banks are connected together, NatWest and RBS, for example, they both have the same top level owner. And so you can't have taken RBS or NatWest cash within the last 3 years if you're doing one of their switches usually. Some of them say you can never have had any money from us ever, for example, First Direct, so you can only do that once. So those ones I usually leave until a bit later because there's not really any requirement to rush into it because we're not trying to reset any timers. The ones that have this 1, 2, 3 year period before you can take the cash again are often quite good to do first because you want to get that timer started as soon as possible. If I do a switch now in 2025, it's going to be 2028 before I can use that bank again. So I want that timer to start as soon as I can. So this is why it's really important to keep a log of exactly what you did when you applied, when the account got opened, how much you got paid and who it was with, so that you can basically track and make sure that you're going to be able to pick up the ones in the future that you did in the past and know when you actually did them. You can just make a simple spreadsheet in Google Docs, just list it out, just make sure it's all in the right place, that it's digital somewhere and it's being saved. You're not just going to lose your scrap of paper that said, oh, I opened HSBC on the 1st of May 2024 and now I've lost it and now I can't remember exactly when I can get the next one. The only other thing to look at when you're looking at these accounts is the benefits. Sometimes the benefits of these current accounts can actually be quite good. The one that I've just switched to with Lloyd's, you either got free cinema tickets or Disney Plus. And sometimes you might want to, if you want to keep these benefits, open up another account to do switching if you want to keep the benefits on the one that you've got at the moment. There is one other one like NatWest, for example. You can open up an account where you can add in a regular saver and it's a 6%. I think First Direct is the same. You can have up to 6% interest, which is much better than you're going to get anywhere else. Yes, it's in taxable accounts. So you want to make sure, this is a complete side note, you don't go over the taxable limit. But either which way, if you want to keep that, then you might end up wanting to have another current account so you can then swap between other banks too. So some of the benefits that you can get with these things are actually quite nice. So keep an eye out for those as well to make sure that you're not missing out. So in summary, I do just want to emphasize how straightforward this has been. Once I got started, it was very, very easy. Setting up the first account and trying to rush into my second account was what ended up getting me denied from that first account that I tried to do, because I tried to do it too quickly. I set up this account and then 4 days later, I tried to swap it. Not everything had been set up on the original account, and I basically got the accounts closed down, which was really pretty stupid and naive. Banks don't like you rushing through stuff. So open up an account, leave it a week or two, then start switching, leave it another couple of weeks, switch again. As long as you do it methodically and slowly, then you should be fine. As I said, I've done 5 of mine. I opened up a starter account and then switched 5 times. So I've had 6 accounts in a year. So that's about once every 2 months. And once you've gone through the first flurry, you're then just kind of in a waiting game for the next set. The beauty of this, it's probably taken me under an hour once I got it set up to then just go and do the next switch, because it is very, very easy and they do it all for you. They send the stuff through the post. The new bank has to do it legally because of the way open banking and the current account switch works. So it makes it very, very straightforward. So you can basically take £1,000 per person. The very final tip is you might want to open up one extra account if you're in a couple, which is a joint account as well. So you might have your own switching account and then your partner may have a switching account as well. You might want to have a joint switching account too, because sometimes, and I think Nationwide was like this, and we didn't have one, so we actually missed out, was that you could then switch an account into the joint account as well. So actually take 3 sets of bonuses for only 2 people. So that's one to bear in mind. I'm going to be opening a joint one as well, just for those rare opportunities where one comes up, because it would be stupid to miss out on £175 to £200 just for not having that account open. So I hope this has helped. Go and enjoy the money, and I'll see you next time.